Hey, book club. Writers Club. Writers, readers, storytellers. Today I want to talk to you about the top 5 things that I was thinking about when I got my first professional edit back on my Dyson novel. These are things that I kind of learned through editing my first 2 novels, Magic Required and Dominion Required, and I definitely implement them when I am thinking about what I'm doing on the book that I'm working on now. Dyson's book still doesn't have a title. She is the main character of this book. She is a tertiary character in Dominion Required and is only mentioned in passing in Magic Required, but now she gets her own, and I've recently got back my first professional edit. If you have written anything and you want to self-publish, you need an editor. Professional editors can definitely be expensive. And if you're starting the writing process now, start saving for an editor now, because I promise you, they are worth every single penny. These are the top 5 things I keep in mind when I am working on my edited manuscript. Tip number 1, which is actually kind of a pre-send out your novel tip: do not send out your first draft. Don't make somebody else read your first draft. That's lazy. You just wrote a whole book. You're not lazy. Don't start being lazy now. Edit your book. I've said this in an earlier video, and if you haven't checked my other videos out about how I am working through my Dyson project, the links are in the description and the cards are maybe somewhere. You have to edit before you send out your novel to be edited. Tip number 2, use text to speech. I do this all throughout my editing process, before I send it to a professional editor, after I get it back. I do this all the time. There is an app or a website or something where you can get like an almost human sounding person. Not me. I use Alex.
Hi, my name is Alex. I read Hannah her books.
I use Alex in text edit because he sounds like a robot. And if clunky writing is said by a robot, you can hear it. Ooh, you can hear it. When Alex reads something and it's so good, it still sounds a little off. But if he reads my computer is alive. If Alex reads something that's clunky, because he's already clunky, it sounds so much worse. For sure, if it drives you crazy, I'll put a link in the description, or like put the website here. I've heard about it, I haven't used it yet, but I just use the free text-to-speech app that I have on my MacBook, and it's really, really helpful. At a certain point, you've memorized what you've written, you're reading over mistakes. You need to either read it out loud or have somebody read it to you. Tip number 3, if you're bored, so is your reader. If you've been an avid watcher of my writing tools videos, you know that I have 8,000 editors. And I read my Dyson novel probably 8 to 10 times before any of them saw it. And it was only after I got it back from my second editor that I could read through the entire thing and never be bored. I was not bored in the slow parts, in the fast, I was not bored at all. The first time I sent it out was to an editor, more like a beta reader on Fiverr, and though that was really motivating to help me finish my manuscript, which is something I'll talk about in a later video, I knew my book wasn't done. I knew it wasn't ready. I just also knew that I needed help. Editing Hannah here, just jumping in to clarify that yes, I did have a manuscript that was not 100% finished, and the reason it wasn't 100% finished was because I had a few scenes that I knew I needed to put somewhere and I wasn't sure about. It was edited ad nauseum by yours truly before that poor Fiverr beta reader had it. So I paid somebody. I didn't ask my friends. I paid somebody. She was $70. $70 Canadian. Start saving now, guys. Don't do that to your friends. There are parts of the book that I was bored reading. I knew I needed them in the story, but I just didn't know why I was bored reading them. I sent it out to the first beta reader. I got it back. I cut a bunch of stuff where they were bored too, of course. And it was only after I got it back from Molly, who I paid considerably more than $70, that I was able to read through the entire thing and not be bored ever, because I had cut out everything that was unnecessary. So keep in mind as you're editing your second draft, but especially after you get it back from your editor the first time, if you are bored, so is your reader. Number 4. Get ready for beta readers. Showing a large number of people your book, or really showing anybody your book, is like reaching down into yourself, pulling out your soul, and saying, here, judge me. That's not a unique feeling. We all feel like that. So start getting ready for it now, because once you've done this first round of professional edits, or I keep saying professional edit, but really like this can be your first tough edit, you know? Your first edit from a stranger, your first edit from somebody who's really been nitpicky, after that edit, I would say that's the time when you should send it to a beta reader. A lot of people will say that you should send it out to your beta readers before, especially if you are paying somebody, but I think that my book improved so much after the first edit that had I sent it to a beta reader before, it wouldn't have been helpful. Because for the most part, the beta reader is telling me whether or not they're being entertained by my novel, where it's slow, where it's fast. And if there are continually grammar errors or so much text, like if I'm still bored reading it, I know the beta reader is going to be bored. I also totally understand that like I am financially in a place where I can have multiple editors, and I am very lucky for that. That's not to say that you can't have multiple editors either, even if you're not paying them a lot. Like I said, there are some great editors on Fiverr, and I'm sure there are some people in your life who will help you. And number 5, lean forward, reach up your arm and pat yourself on the back. You deserve a break. Once you have read your professional edit, edited all the things you need to, you're no longer bored reading that novel, give it to some betas and take a breather. I've said in an earlier video, like, don't take breaks if you don't want to take breaks, but I do think that at a point where people are reading your book, actively reading your book, you need to give them a bit of time to do that. So kick back, pop open a bottle of wine, crack a club soda. You done good, kid. You wrote a whole book and people are reading it now. Congratulations. Those are my 5 tips. I hope you find them as helpful as I have when I'm using them. I hope you're all happy and healthy, taking care of each other out there, and until next time, may the force be with you. Live long and prosper, and keep writing your story.
I waved my hand over the bedside clock. Angry red numbers appeared in the air above the small black rectangle. 5:23. I had no idea what time the woman was going to be there. I didn't know her name. I didn't know where she worked or even what day this was going to happen. But I did know the cross street, and I knew it was early morning. I closed my eyes, trying to remember where the sun was as it peeked between the tall buildings. I was certain it had been before 9. I'd go today, and if she wasn't there, I'd go again tomorrow.